Auburn and Alabama primed to go head-to-head.
If you want to do anything for the Auburn family, you beat Alabama.
I've been hearing all week, it's going to be a war, and we built for all this.
Are you willing to do what it takes to be the beast?
Let's go! We got to go through that, and they got to go through us.
What a scene it is today. Number 1 Auburn, number 2 Alabama. And don't you know, this is an ESPN Sonic blockbuster. They are 1 and 2 in the nation. They are tied atop the SEC. Each team at 10 and 1. Whoever wins obviously has a leg up. Don't forget, they'll meet 3 weeks from today in the jungle. Everybody is fired up for this one. Nobody more than Bruce Pearl.
Who's number 1? We don't know. Who's number 1? Who's going to act like number 1? Who's going to play like number 1? Who's going to handle adversity like number 1? Who's going to honor the game with no shit like number 1? Who's going to prepare like number 1? Who's going to give God the glory and victory and defeat like number 1? Who is?
Big games like this, folks, don't come along very often. Dan Schulman and Jay Billis, 2 teams that love to get up and down. They can really score the basketball, and it may be fighting for the top overall ranking right now. Number 1, number 2. The offensive numbers are off the charts for both the Tigers and the Crimson Tide. What are you thinking about going into this one?
Alabama averages 90 points a game. They make 10 threes a game, just coming off a game they played against Texas where they made 17 threes. But to get those threes, they can't turn the ball over. If Alabama has single-digit turnovers and they limit Auburn to single-digit offensive rebounds, they're going to have a great chance to win this game. And for Auburn, I mean, Auburn's got to keep Alabama out of the paint. That's how they generate those threes. They're a slot-driving, paint-grabbing team. Keep them out of the paint. You've got a great chance to win.
Easier said than done when the opposition is this good. Let's hear more from Jess Sims.
Dan, former high school math teacher turned current Alabama head coach Nate Oates reached for his Excel spreadsheets to prepare for today's game. Now, not the one with the X's and O's or the stats, but the one with a list of quotes from some of the best coaches and athletes of all time. He decided to use some quotes and some videos from Tom Brady and Nick Saban saying, hey, the big game doesn't feel as big if you've prepared the same way for all the other big games you've had. And I think it's safe to say, Dan, that both these coaches tonight are ready for this big game.
Both of these coaches, Jess, thank you very much, are ready. And Jay, and we'll talk about this over the course of the afternoon, these are 2 of the very best coaches in America. What they have done with these 2 programs in recent years. Nate Oates, Alabama had never been to a Final Four until last year. He's also got 2 SEC regular season championships and 2 SEC tournament titles. And this is just his 6th year here in Tuscaloosa. And on the other side, Bruce Pearl took Auburn to a Final Four in 2019. The Tigers had never been there. And just like Oates, 2 SEC regular season championships, 2 SEC tournament championships. 2 of the very best at their craft.
Nate Oates does a tremendous job with analytics. Alabama wants to get to the rim. They want to shoot open threes, and they want to get to the foul line. They're not taking mid-range jumpers. And Bruce Pearl, a little bit more old school, run a lot of flex action along the baseline. They're looking to get the ball to Janai Broom inside, and Alabama wants to keep him away from his left hand.
We are ready for the tip of our Sonic blockbuster matchup. And so is this loud, sold-out crowd here inside Coleman Coliseum. The most heavily anticipated college basketball game in this state's history. And it'll be Auburn, the visiting team, wearing white today, getting the first possession.
All right, Alabama's big guys playing right in the center of the lane.
Playing off Chris Moore. He's getting the start on the wing. Miles Kelly knocks it down, and he can certainly do that. Oh, look at the Alabama lineup. They are big across the front court. 3 guys, 6'10 or 6'11. And then, of course, Mark Sears in the backcourt along with Chris Youngblood. Youngblood has really brought some physicality and shooting to the Bama offense since getting healthy. The Auburn lineup, Chad Baker-Mazara comes off the bench. He's banged up, has had a couple of hard falls, hurt his shoulder a little bit at practice yesterday. He is on the bench. He did go through warm-ups, but it's Moore getting the start. Alabama likes to play at as fast a pace as any team in the country, but it is Auburn off to a great start as Johni Broome knocks down a three.
Johni Broome, known as an inside player, but not afraid to pull the trigger from the three-point line. You've got to get out and at least put token pressure on him. You can't dare him to shoot that three. Alabama's going to play off Dylan Cardwell and try to clog up the lane as a result. But just Cliff Amore giving way too much respect to that drive and playing way off, just daring Broome to shoot, and he's going to take you up on that.
Broome maybe still not quite back to 100% physically after the ankle injury, but still putting up big numbers since he has returned. Sears in the corner. The three is short. Cardwell has it knocked away, but a foul called on Alabama.
Got Chris Youngblood just swiping at the ball after it had been already rebounded. Dylan Cardwell grabs it. There's the swipe from Youngblood to pick up that foul.
Auburn with the ball and
a shot fake, dribble, and step back three from Johni Broome, but he just delivered it against Cliff Amore.
29% from three on the season, but 2 for 2 today, and now a reach-in foul on Cardwell.
It is very important for this Alabama team not to allow second chance opportunities. It's remarkable after an offensive rebound how often that leads to a three. Not usually the type we saw from Johni Broome with a shot fake and a step back, but that's a second chance opportunity that Alabama cannot allow if they want to win this game.
And the first substitution of the game belongs to Bruce Pearl. Chaney Johnson, who was outstanding in a Tuesday night win at Vandy, has come in to take the place of Dylan Cardwell. Johnson went 9 for 10 at 20 points in the game. Alabama still can't get one to go, but Grant Nelson runs it down. And a fresh possession. Sears will try again. Nelson, another offensive rebound, and he draws a foul.
Boy, great job by Grant Nelson to go hard after that rebound. With long shots come longer rebounds. That brings more rebounders into play. And you can see this court was so spread, it's tough to get a block out where you're out near the three-point line. And sometimes their matchups aren't exactly right. And Denver Jones trying to block out Grant Nelson. That's advantage Nelson.
Nelson, 3 years with North Dakota State, his second year here in Tuscaloosa, and he's having a great year. Almost 13 points per game, better than 8 rebounds per game, as Tahad Pettiford has checked in for Denver Jones for Auburn. A couple of early substitutions, Jay, for Bruce Pearl here in this game.
Well, a lot of guys are going to play in this one, but to Grant Nelson, to your point, how good was he at Kentucky in that win Alabama had in Rupp? He had 25 points, 11 rebounds, and really attacked the paint with force.
Broome getting into the paint, and the soft touch for him. He's got 8 already.
Cliff Amore trying to keep him away from that left hand. Did a good job. That fadeaway shot, that's a tough two. Got to give him credit.
Sears with a burst of speed, and he draws a foul. Got a chance for 3.
That is one of the main reasons you cannot let Mark Sears get to that left hand. Mark Sears, to me, is the Jalen Brunson of this Alabama program. He can get to the rim and finish. Although he would rather shoot a three-point shot, and I think Nate Oates would rather he did, but he does a great job of getting to the foul line. Shoots about 7 free throws per game, shoots about 84% from the line.
You see Chad Baker-Mazara is into the game early, less than 3 minutes in. We weren't sure about his availability before the game. Sears misses the free throw. Mo Diabate, number 10, is into the game for Alabama, a very good defender, and he's given up some size now, but it's going to be him, at the moment at least, on Johni Broome.
Well, nobody works harder than Mo Diabate. His plus-minus the best on this Alabama team.
Broome gets to the left hand, but too strong off the glass, and it is still Auburn ball. Johni Broome will do everything he can to get back to that right shoulder, use his left hand off the glass, and Alabama, of course, is well aware of that.
But his last two, he's off to a great start in this one. His last two, even though he's averaging just under 18 a game, he's 14 of 35 from the field.
Chaney Johnson hits the 3.
And that's why he's in the game. Dylan Cardwell is not going to draw defenders out to that three-point line. Chaney Johnson will.
Diabate, full head of steam. The follow by Nelson, but wave it off. Basket interference is the call.
And that one they can look at.
Yep.
And that's often why they call it, because they can look at it. If it's close, then they'll go back and look at the next dead ball.
Little bump there by Johnson as well, and they will look at it at the under 16 immediate timeout.
And that'll be a basket.
Yeah.
That's a good bucket.
I can think of 14,000 people who agree with you, and I'm not sure anybody's ever said that about you before.
It's usually much more.
Johnson misses the corner three. Bruce Pearl has said repeatedly in the last several days there's even more to come from Chaney Johnson. He is getting better and better, says nobody on his team works harder than Johnson does. Youngblood, got to respect his three-point shooting ability. He'll drive it on Baker Mazzara and finish it, and Alabama starting to find its way at the offensive end.
Well, that's what Alabama wants to continue to do, is punch the paint. That draws help, then you can kick it out to open three-point shooters.
Miles Kelly into the chest of Nelson. It is out of bounds and belongs to the Tide.
Excellent vertical contest by Grant Nelson. He's the top shot blocker on this Alabama team. But that's an area where years ago you try to draw a charge, but now if you go straight up, that vertical contest is hard to deal with, and he's long and athletic.
Jaron Stevenson coming off his best game of the season, 22 points against Texas on Tuesday. Into Diabate. They're going to play off him. Broom will. That pass in the air a long time, but it finds its way to Sears. And a kick ball will reset the shot clock to 20 and take us to a timeout. Auburn with the lead, and Johni Broomjay, the biggest reason why.
Well, leading candidate for National Player of the Year. The little fadeaway shot with the left, and his reaction. He's enjoying being in Tuscaloosa so far.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Sonic, an official sponsor of the SEC. Live free, eat Sonic. The last time two teams in the same state met in a 1-versus-2 game back in 2008 at FedEx Forum in Memphis, number 2 Tennessee, coached by Bruce Pearl, beat number 1 Memphis on and maybe the noisiest game I have ever been at. This Sonic blockbuster shows you this is the 6th all-time in-state 1-versus-2 matchup. 2 of them between Cincinnati and Ohio State, 2 of them between Carolina and Duke, the Tennessee-Memphis game, and now this one. On many levels, in-state level, within the SEC level, and just big picture, this game is very special.
Auburn and Alabama, whenever they play, it's for bragging rights. But this is also, instead of a rivalry game, it's a bit of a supremacy game. I mean, playing for number 1 in the country is pretty heady stuff, and it's remarkable where these programs are. The job that Nate Oates has done at Alabama, the job that Bruce Pearl has done at Auburn.
And by the way, the officials reviewed the basket interference call. They took it away. The basket counts for Grant Nelson, so it's now 14-8. Aiden Holloway, the former Auburn Tiger, transferred here to Tuscaloosa this year, a member of the SEC All-Freshman team a year ago with Auburn, now having an outstanding sophomore year in Alabama, but he misses the corner 3.
And he's been on a heater. In SEC play, Aiden Holloway is averaging just under 14 points a game, shooting 50% from 3, 56% from the field overall, but he's 26 of 52 from three-point range in the SEC.
What a matchup between Holloway and Pettiford, 2 outstanding players who come off their respective benches. A great rebound there by Diabate.
After playing great defense on Chaney Johnson.
Look at that. Absorbs a bump, but off the back of the iron, and it's down to Jones and the Tigers.
Playing 4-on-4 right now.
Jones, short on the 3. Johnson the rebound. Auburn 22-2. Alabama 21-3 on the season. Pettiford the kick. Johnson again. Misses the 3, and it's Alabama ball.
Boy, with Chaney Johnson in the game, you really have to adjust. You cannot hang back in the lane to try to muck up the Auburn offense. You're going to have to get out to him.
Holloway can't get by Jones, a terrific on-ball defender.
Yeah, there were 2 hands on the ball handle there, just went uncalled.
Nelson steps out, back to Holloway. Shot clock at 8.
Got to switch.
Johnson on him. Holloway the drive. Johnson got him. What a play.
The long arms and athleticism of Chaney Johnson to knock that out of the air.
And again, it's a story that's been told so many times, but Chaney Johnson started off his collegiate career at the D2 level, and he has turned himself into an outstanding high major player.
Well, he's coming off a 20-point game against Vanderbilt, where he was excellent, 9 of 10 from the field, but that's a big-time defensive play against the ultra-quick Aiden Holloway.
Mark Sears 1 for 5 in the early going of this one. Drives on Baker Mazzara, draws the foul, and it goes.
Tell me that doesn't look like Jalen Brunson. Gets right into the body of Chad Baker Mazzara. And that's with everything designed to take away his left hand. But still, because he gets so low and attacks the hip of Chad Baker Mazzara, just gets his shoulders past him, draws that contact, and gets it up there with the left hand. Didn't even bring his right to it so he could get it up quickly on the glass.
And at practice yesterday, you were there. Bruce Pearl said, we're going to sit on Mark Sears' left hand, meaning do everything they can to try to make him go right, but they haven't been able to do it yet.
Well, that used to happen in the NBA all the time with Manu Ginobili. Force him left, force him right, but he's still got to his left. Same thing with Mark Sears in this game.
And the players have been sent to their benches, and the officials are heading to the monitor. You can see Diabate had a towel up at his mouth.
He's bleeding. Yep. They're probably looking to see whether there was illegal contact that would rise to the level of a flagrant. All right, take a look at Diabate. I don't see where. Oh, he's in the corner. There he is in the corner.
Hey, T, he's asking a T.
So on the drive, Diabate is going to come in on a corner crash. Didn't look like there was anything there.
Now, if it happened before. And maybe they're looking at something else.
Yeah, it must have been something earlier. There was nothing there.
Pat Adams, Joe Lindsay, and Vladimir Boyard-Tadal, the officials today. And each bench will take advantage of the opportunity to get a free timeout. The first ever SEC 1 versus 2 game, the 44th ever, and this is the 76th year of the AP poll. So 76 years, there have been 44 1 versus 2 games, never before one within the SEC.
Yeah, that's just incidental contact.
Chani Broom off to a great start today. 3 for 4. Has hit a couple of threes. He's got 8 points. One of the 2 leading contenders for National Player of the Year, along with Duke's Cooper Flagg. And the headsets have come off the officials. And the explanation is being given to Nate Oates, so that would seem to suggest there's nothing there.
We were reviewing a play at 15:37. This play is past the time frame to be reviewed. Also, the play is incidental contact.
So I guess ultimately incidental contact is the most important information there. Diabate is back on the court and okay, and they will play on. And it will be Sears at the line for the tie, trying to complete the 3-point play. Mark Sears averaging almost 18 points per game. Averaged better than 21 a season ago when he was a second-team All-American.
And really the issue for Mark Sears is turnovers. His last 4 games, he has 21 assists. Not unusual. What is unusual, he's got 22 turnovers over that stretch.
And Nate Oates will tell you, too much dribbling in traffic. Nice play, but no finish.
Basket interference. He touched it while he was grabbing the rim. That is difficult action to guard. That ball screen, back screen action. It worked to perfection except for the finish. There's the back screen after the ball screen for Chad Baker-Mazara.
Sears again trying to turn the corner. Keeps the dribble alive. In the backcourt along with Holloway. Diabate left alone.
A beautiful keeper by Mohamed Diabate. His energy is palpable.
It is a 9-0 run for the Tide. Sears called for the foul.
Right after the foul. I guess it was right after. Jaheim Hudson. Yeah. Terrific job on the keeper. That's a great read of the defense. You see Hudson going toward what he thought was going to be the handoff, and he takes it the other way, and Nate Oates loving it. Very understated jacket by Nate Oates in this one.
I think this is his big game jacket, though. We've seen this one a couple of times before. This Alabama team has so many offensive weapons, and you could say the same for Auburn. Big shot there for Chad Baker-Mazara. That'll snap the 9-0 run by the Tide. Alabama, the highest scoring team in the country. They've reached triple digits 7 times. Jay, they've got 7 different players who be 3 free throws.
All that was made by the pass ahead to get it into the paint, then the kick out. You see Aiden Holloway just trying to go past Chad Baker-Mazara. Didn't get past him, went right into him. And you have to give the shooter a chance to land.
So Baker-Mazara, again, who's been playing banged up the last 2 or 3 games. Second game in a row, he's coming off the bench. One thing he can always do is shoot free throws. One of the best in the country. He is shooting free throws at a 90% clip this year.
All these Auburn guards can bang down free throws. But to your point on Chad Baker-Mazara being injured and banged up, I mean, his last 2 games, he's only averaging 3 points a game, 2 of 12 from the field in those 2 games. He has not been himself.
And averaging better than 12 points per game on the season for Bruce Pearl. Bruce has said many times this week, you know, how cool is it that this game, and he means this in a very respectful way, that it's not at Rupp Arena or Fog Allen or Knoxville or Duke, Carolina. He goes, this game's in Alabama. Both of these coaches have taken a tremendous amount of pride, Jay, in the way that their programs are performing and the way it's elevated the fandom for basketball across the entire state.
It's just a fantastic atmosphere in Coleman Coliseum, and you can feel the excitement in the state of Alabama for a Alabama-Auburn matchup that is not football.
And with all the great things in the Iron Bowl on the football side, the rivalry there, they've never had a 1 versus 2. They got one here in basketball. Nice turnaround by Janai Broome. What are you going to do with that?
Broome is so good at keeping his balance, even when there's contact. He basically plays on the floor, and you are not moving him around. He's just so strong.
Freshman LeBaron File on the drive and a kick. Diabate guarded by Johnson. Trying to back him down. Johnson might be too strong to let that happen. Philon with Pettiford staying right in front of him. Shot clock running down. Stevenson. And the rebound to Baker-Mazara.
Excellent defensive possession for Auburn. They kept Alabama out of the paint. Good pass.
Very pretty 2-man game between Baker-Mazara and Johnson.
Boy, that was a needle threading to get it to Chaney Johnson. Johnson has had an impact on this game since he's been in off the bench.
And now he stays in front of Sears on the drive. Little Euro step by Grant Nelson will go.
Nelson has to be played as a driver. He's right-handed, loves the right-hand drive. You can't worry about his shot. You have to worry about him putting it on the deck and getting a piece of the paint.
Auburn led 9-0. Bama made a run. Auburn by 6 now. Johnson fouled. And we'll head to the free throw line. Auburn, the most efficient offensive team in the nation this year, and a lot of it is because of outstanding passing.
Open side pick and roll, a terrific pocket pass, just threading the needle to Chaney Johnson, and then Grant Nelson driving the closeout with a little Euro step.
coach Nate Oates created the Hard Hat Award given to the player at the end of each game right here. This is the actual real one. You can see it's banged up here. For the player that gets the most blue-collar points at the end of the game. I'm talking deflections, steals, rebounds, assists, all of that good stuff. And the #1 player right now leading the team with 8 awards is Mo Diabate. Despite only averaging 14.5 minutes a game, his impact is absolutely undeniable. And to give you some perspective, Dan, Grant Nelson has won it 7 times, and he averages more than 10 extra minutes a game. But I will say, he already has 4 offensive boards today, so he might get it tonight.
Jess, thank you. He's a winning player. He makes plays that help teams win games. He's got a bloody lip. I don't know if you get a hard hat point for having a bloody lip, but he's got that as well. And in his last game, he showed a lot at the offensive end as well. You don't get the hard hat for the offense, but Nate Oates was thrilled to get the offense from Diabate. He went 8 for 9, made 3 threes, and scored 22 points in 23 minutes against Vandy a few weeks back. He's got some offensive ability. I'm sorry, made 3 threes this week in a game against Texas, 22 points in January against Vandy. Considering, as Jess said, Jay, the number of minutes he gets, he is really a huge contributor on this team.
Excellent defender, but he just makes winning plays on the floor, and the team operates at a higher level when he is on the floor. And he reminds you a little bit of Herb Jones in the early years at Alabama, and he's got that kind of potential. And now he's knocking down 3-point shots. You know, he's a lefty. It takes him a little while to wind it up, but he's making them when he's open.
And speaking of 3-point shots, Alabama hasn't made one yet, and they shoot a lot of them. They average better than 10 made threes per game, but they're 0 for 6 from 3-point range so far.
Key word there is yet. They're going to make some, and when the lid comes off, Alabama can knock down shots in a hurry.
They made 17 of them in 29 attempts Tuesday night in Austin. Scored 103 points against the Longhorns. You say Herb Jones and all that. He's on camera. Sorry, Brandon Miller in the house. Herb Jones is here as well. Turnaround. Did he get it off in time? Didn't hit the rim, so it doesn't matter. And a shot clock violation on Alabama.
Auburn is doing such a good job of guarding the ball and staying in front. Early on in the game, Alabama really attacking the paint and getting into the paint. But the last several possessions, it has been much more difficult for Alabama. They've got to move the ball a little bit better. You're not going to be able to attack the defense. Auburn's trying to show Alabama more bodies than they do gaps or wood. And the last few possessions has been very effective.
Auburn 13 quad 1 wins. Nobody else has more than 8. Offensive foul, Janai Broome.
Just used that right arm to hook the defender. He really didn't need to do that because the move was so quick. Just caught Cliff Amore right in the back with that right arm. And first of all, you know, it's a switch of a pivot foot, but he did it so quickly, you know, the referees don't call it.
Broome 10 points in the early going. Auburn has led throughout. Bedford staying in front of Sears. Shot clock down to 12. And cross court now Holloway. Darion Reed back from a leg injury. Has missed 6 of the last 8 games, but he's in there right now for the Tide. The 3 won't go for Cliff Amore.
Had to shoot it. The time was going out on the shot clock, but that's not the shot they want from Cliff Amore.
That's his first 3-point attempt of the season. And as Jay said, because the clock was winding down, Bedford kept it alive, but now it's numbers for the Tide. And the foul on Miles Kelly.
Alabama wants to get the ball down court quickly, shoot in the first 10 seconds of the shot clock before a defense can get set. They haven't had many opportunities in this game, largely because they've been taking the ball out of the net. But when they can get it up court and score quickly, that's their game.
So Reed at the line for Alabama knocks down the first. Coming up next on this great day of college basketball action, next on ESPN, it'll be North Carolina and Syracuse. You talk about a couple of programs in desperate need of a win, and then back into the SEC, Kentucky. Next man up philosophy right now. They are down some key players there in Austin to take on the Horns. We saw Kentucky beat Tennessee on Tuesday. Tennessee beat Vandy earlier today in a game in which they trailed by double figures. Just another day in the SEC that has had such an incredible season. Broom the screen, frees up Kelly. Still loose. And finally, it's Bama's. Auburn gets back, keeps him out of transition. Youngblood. Offensive rebound, Amori. Sears a deep one. And they still don't have a made free. Holloway. Got it.
You give Alabama 3 shots at it, they're going to knock one down. Give Cliff Amori a tremendous amount of credit for those offensive rebounds.
6 offensive rebounds now in the game for the tie. Broom at the other end. Can't hit it. And Baker Mazzara comes up with a steal and is fouled by Mark Sears.
Not a good foul by Sears. That's his second. And both of them on reach-ins that were unnecessary. They could have trapped Baker Mazzara there. No need to reach on it, but just not a good pass because you weren't looking down court to see where the defense was. And Chad Baker Mazzara just lying in wait to be able to take that away.
And Nate Oates is taking Sears out of the game after his second foul with 8:16 to go in the first half.
Well, he's an experienced player. He'll come back from it. Just go out so you don't pick up another cheap one. So that's just one of those calls, Dan. There's no reason to take a foul there.
It is Holloway and Youngblood in the backcourt right now for Alabama. And a conversation here between the 3 officials, and now ready to go where the ball should be inbounded from appears to be the discussion.
Yeah, they were talking about the shot clock. The foul was committed in Auburn's front court, Alabama's backcourt. So it's 20 seconds on the clock. That's why they inbounded it where they did.
Baker Mazzara's done some good things coming in off the bench. Got 6 points, couple of assists. Kelly wide open. And a break there for the Tide. A good look for Miles Kelly, who's a good shooter.
Miscommunication on defense as to who was guarding Kelly and Cardwell. Fortunate.
Nelson with a shot fake. Stevenson a corner 3, and Alabama's back within 1.
Jaron Stevenson's coming off a 22-point game against Texas where he hit 4 of 5 from 3.
Broom, no. And it'll be Alabama ball with a chance to take the lead when we come back. Hitting the glass, Jay, and then hitting the 3.
Cliff Amori, the transfer from Rutgers, a Big Ten all-defensive player, gets 2 huge offensive rebounds. His activity led to this open 3 from Aiden Holloway to take the lid off.
Nate Oates was a math teacher back in Romulus, Michigan for many years. Very analytically inclined. He is very particular about the kind of shot his team takes. 3s and around the rim, right, Jay?
3s and around. Really, they want to get to the rim. So 37% of their shots are at the rim, about 13% non-rim paint shots. And then you got almost 47% from 3. But this is a key number. They don't take mid-range shots unless they have to. They're not efficient shots. But really what you want to do is get to the rim. That allows you to get fouled. It'll also draws the defense so you can kick it out for open 3s. But Nate Oates wants layups, free throws, and open 3s. And it is very successful. I mean, Alabama is scoring 91 points per game in SEC play. That leads the league, and they're shooting 50% from the field in SEC games, also leading the league.
And again, they've topped 100 points 7 times this year, 4 of them in SEC play, as the rebound comes down to Denver Jones. Jones flies in and finishes.
Boy, great job by Denver Jones. The long rebound bounced toward half court, and that really started the Auburn break. And Jones recognized immediately that he had Holloway in a bad spot. That was not legal guarding position, so he went right into his back to draw the contact because you know they have to call that foul.
Not normally one of the big scores for the Tigers, but what a game he had Tuesday against Vandy. 4 threes and 14 points in the first half. 5 threes, 21 points in the game. Holloway to the bench with 2 fouls, and Jay Sears is back in.
And Denver Jones, to your point, one of the underrated on-ball defenders in the country. He's the best on-ball defender on this Auburn roster.
And that's something you need when you're playing Alabama. Nelson driving on Broom. He slipped, and that'll be a travel.
When Jaron Stevenson made a terrific 45-degree back cut, was wide open. But Grant Nelson didn't see him, being guarded by Janai Broom. Just lost his footing there. And that's an automatic travel call.
And they're going to take a look at that right shoe as he goes to the bench.
Hey, who wears 14? Give me your shoes.
You ever do that? You ever have to give somebody or get shoes from somebody when you were playing?
No, but somewhat of a famous story in the Duke-North Carolina rivalry. Grant Hill, when he got to Chapel Hill for the game, had forgotten his shoes. So you're thinking Coach K is going to say, hey, tough beans, man, you're not playing. They asked one of the walk-ons, hey, are you a 14? Give Grant your shoes.
I guess you want to recruit walk-ons who have the same shoe size as some of your best players.
Well, now they carry the players' shoes. Make sure they have them.
Diabate initiating the contact with Cardwell, and he's rewarded with a trip to the line.
Well, Diabate is so tough and physical. One of the hardest workers you're going to find in the Southeastern Conference and beyond. Just a determined player. He's got the best plus-minus of any player on this Alabama roster. And talk about an X factor. He's the X factor for this Alabama team.
Well, a great scene here for game day today here in Tuscaloosa. Tomorrow morning, women's college game day presented by State Farm kicks off at 11 Eastern on ESPN. Then it's an ABC women's college basketball doubleheader. Look at these games. Number 7 UConn against number 4 South Carolina in a sonic blockbuster at 1 Eastern. And then number 5 LSU and number 3 Texas. What a day on ABC, and 4 highly ranked teams with 4 superstars of the women's game.
Yeah, led by Paige Beckers of UConn. Maybe not having her best scoring year, but she is a bucket getter.
Diabate with an air ball on the second free throw attempt, and Auburn with the ball and a 4-point lead.
Middle pick and roll, and Dylan Cardwell a lob threat.
Baker Mazzara, the lefty, scoops it up and in with the right.
So hard to stop in the middle third of that floor. And if you go to Baker Mazzara, if he misses it, Dylan Cardwell's right there for the offensive rebound.
And at the other end, it'll go for the freshman LeBaron Philon, who originally committed to Auburn, then decommitted, committed to Kansas, then decommitted, and winds up here in Tuscaloosa. Tough shot. Won't go for Baker Mazzara, and the rebound to Amori.
Philon is a quick burst driver, but that's a quick trigger 3.
And the loose ball down to Baker Mazzara, who has looked very good. 8 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists off the bench in this one.
Looked very much under control.
Draws 2, finds Broom. Cardwell back to Broom, still plenty of time.
Those are some big mitts by Janai Broom that grabbed that ball.
Kelly, beautiful feed. Cardwell the finish.
Not known as a driver, but Miles Kelly, the best three-point shooter on this Auburn roster, drew 2 defenders, just dropped it in between to Dylan Cardwell. He was wide open.
6-point game, under 5 to go here in the first half at Coleman Coliseum. Number 1 and number 2. Philon the drive, hangs in the air and hits.
Well, there's that quick burst as a driver off the screen and roll. And he's not turning the corner at an angle. He's going right at the defender's hip, trying to get to the rim. Got all the way past Chad Baker Mazzara, and then took the contact. And look how his eyes never left the rim. Your eyes make layups, and that was a contributing factor to Philon finishing that play after contact.
Second on Baker Mazzara. He sits. Broom has also come out of the game. Bruce Pearl probably getting him a bit of a breather until the under 4 timeout. And it'll be Philon at the line looking to complete the 3-point play.
It's amazing, Dan. We talk so much about Alabama and their 3-point attack, but they're really a driving team. They're looking to get the ball into the paint. In the slot, they want straight line drives to draw help so they can kick it and then play out of it.
They're leaving some points on the line, though. 5 for 9 so far. Pull up by Pettiford is good.
He has got so much game. The lefty, he can make threes. He can get to the rim. He can pull up. He has got it all.
The screen by Nelson. Philon finds him. Lob up top. Amori cannot get it to go. It is still Alabama ball.
Well, there's some above the rim confrontations in this one.
Chris Moore, 5th-year player in this Auburn program, doesn't do a lot of scoring, but their best communicator, a very tough physical player, a good defender. And he is starting his 2nd game in a row as now Sears is back in. Remember, Sears on the floor with 2 fouls.
I want to watch Grant Nelson here. He's the type of player that can wedge in.
Trying to get right underneath the bucket. They don't find him.
Yeah, got Chaney Johnson did a good job keeping his body and then wrapping his arms around him so he couldn't move. Good fake.
Youngblood the kick. And the 3 is short for Darion Reed, but Alabama another offensive rebound and another Auburn foul. 6-point lead, Tigers here in Tuscaloosa with 4 to go in the first half. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Marvel Studios' Captain America: Brave New World, now playing everywhere in IMAX and 3D. The Jeep halftime report. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, Jess Sims. Number 1 Auburn, number 2 Alabama here in Tuscaloosa. Auburn has led wire to wire. Youngblood at the line suffered an ankle injury back in preseason practice, had surgery, got a late start. But he has come on, has moved into the starting lineup. But again, a physical player, a guy who can knock down threes. So he is now starting. Philon coming off the bench. Both of these teams are really deep, have so many weapons. But all you have to do is go to an Alabama practice and see it's kind of an embarrassment of riches in terms of the number of weapons that Nate Oates has at his disposal.
And they're injured too. I mean, Latrell Wrightsall is out for the season. He was Alabama's best shooter before he got hurt. And then Houston Mallett, the transfer from Pepperdine, is out for the season as well.
Darion Reed, who, as we mentioned earlier, has had missed 6 of the last 8 games with a leg injury, back in there today, and he's headed to the free throw line.
And Alabama 2 of 14 from 3 in this game, and they've had a number of open ones. But where they're keeping themselves in striking distance is the Tide continue to attack the paint and try to get the ball to the rim. That's drawing fouls. That's putting themselves in positions, because when you drive, you have to rotate, and that can open up the offensive glass. And in the first half, Alabama's done a better job on the offensive glass than has Auburn. And really an important factor why Alabama's still within striking distance, just 1 possession down, is the Tide have not turned the ball over in the first half.
Which has been a real problem for them. 17 per game their last 3. You know, they're not brooming, they're booing here in Tuscaloosa. 3 on Cardwell. He'll sit. Janai Broom back in. 10 points in this game. But, Jay, they all came, I think, in the first 6 or 7 minutes of the game.
They did. Knock down a couple of threes and then those fadeaway jumpers.
And they're on their feet here at Coleman Coliseum.
There's the flex action. Miles Kelly open off the down screen.
Misses the 3. Broom the rebound. Pettiford a good look. Amori for the tie. A chance to tie or perhaps take their first lead of the game. Phylon into the paint. Lost it.
Looked like Broom knocked it away.
Kelly. Pettiford. Follow no good. And Auburn misses an opportunity in transition.
Alabama very fortunate.
Nelson can't get it to go.
I think he thought he was going to get contact from Broom, and Broom just matadored it at the end. He took off from too far out.
Frenetic pace, but no points in the last couple of trips. Johnson, the jumper over Amori, and Chaney Johnson now has 9.
Little confusion for Alabama on guarding Chaney Johnson. When he's come into the game, he's able to stretch that defense a little bit. You can't play off him like you could play off Dylan Cardwell.
Getting better and better, becoming a bigger and bigger part of this Auburn team. The Tigers lead by 4. Some great matchups Tuesday night in a doubleheader on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. It'll be Kentucky hosting Vandy. Remember, the Commodores got the Cats a few weeks ago, and then you can see Alabama again. They will be in Columbia to take on the Missouri Tigers. What a year the Tigers are having. I mean, there were so many good teams. Sometimes some of them are getting overlooked in the SEC, but Missouri deserves mention as well. They are ranked 21st in the nation to beat Oklahoma earlier this week and heading for a very solid seed in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, Caleb Grillo, one of the best shooters in the country. Great switch on that wide pin down by Auburn.
Nelson the cut. Amori found him. Nelson left hand. And Broom down with it for Auburn.
Well, he really blocked out, Broom did, blocked out Cliff Amori to keep him from the offensive glass.
5th rebound of the afternoon for Janai Broom. Jones with a floater. Another rebound for Broom, and he's fouled.
Darian Reed was right there to grab that ball. I mean, he was in perfect position to grab that defensive rebound, but Broom just reached out from his left with 2 hands and took it away, took that opportunity away. On this roll replace action, the little floater, Reed right there, as was Amori. And Janai Broom was the victor.
A couple of years at Morehead State, did not get any high major offers coming. 20 points, 10 rebounds.
Well, he was a great player at Morehead State. He was Ohio Valley Conference Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, playing for Preston Spradling, former assistant at Kentucky.
And one of the things he did his sophomore year for the Eagles is had a good game against Auburn. 12 points, 8 rebounds. Got the attention of Bruce Pearl. And the rest is history. Sears lost it. That'll be a turnover.
Well, those are at least it was not a live ball turnover, so you can set your defense. But Denver Jones with terrific pressure on the ball to help force that turnover.
And Nate Oates will get Sears out of the game. Remember, he's got 2 fouls.
Gets over the screen, then puts pressure on the ball, and then Sears just with a little hand change behind the back lost control of it.
Sears 2 for 7, 5 points, does not have an assist in this game. Alabama's only got 2 assists on 11 made field goals. Baker Mazzara gets it off, misses the 3, and the rebound to Nelson.
Nelson, the top rebounder on this Alabama team. Really good block out.
Boy, Alabama gets down the court in a hurry, don't they?
They don't want to waste any time.
Yeah. But give credit to Auburn for getting back.
The earlier they get a shot, the less time they have to turn it over.
Youngblood around Broom. Reverse won't go, and another rebound for Broom.
Just a really tough 2 opportunity.
Final minute of the first half. Johnson, not this time, and it's Alabama ball.
Awfully difficult shot by Chaney Johnson.
If they go quickly, they can go 2 for 1 here. Looks like Nelson's thinking about it. Off the side of the backboard, though.
I don't think you want to go too quickly where you're taking a bad shot. That was a really tough 2 from a bad angle.
Alabama shooting better than 48% on the season, just 32% here today, including 2 for 14 from 3-point range. Johnson open again and hits another 3. Chaney Johnson with his second three of the game.
That middle pick and roll, Grant Nelson had to give help on the roll, and he gave it off the corner three-point shooter, Chaney Johnson, who has been brilliant in this first half. Watch Nelson. He stays to stop the drive and gives up a wide open three to Johnson.
Auburn has led the entire way. Alabama's gotten it down to a single possession a couple of times, but it's a 9-point lead for the #1 team in the nation here in Tuscaloosa. Alabama ball with 17.4 seconds to go in the first half. For people just tuning in, why is Auburn in front right now?
Well, Alabama's not shot the ball well. You give Auburn credit for that. But Auburn in the last, Alabama got it down to a one-possession game. And they've had a few possessions where they've driven the ball and then taken incredibly tough twos. And you have to give Auburn credit defensively for forcing those. And that pushed it to a 9-point game. It was a 3-point game just a couple minutes ago.
Shot clock turned off. Final possession for the Tide. Sears steps into it. Missed it wide right. And with 0.3 of a second left, it will still be Alabama's ball.
All you can really get here is a controlled tip.
Youngblood to inbound, and now Nate Oates wants to get Grant Nelson back into the game. And Youngblood coming out. Stevenson will inbound, so more size in there.
You might see Sears set a little screen for Grant Nelson, then have him throw it up.
There it is. But they can't get anything out of it. And a frustrating first half of the offensive end for the Crimson Tide. They are down 9, the first time all season that Nate Oates heads to the locker room at halftime with his team not in the lead. 42-33 Auburn. Bruce Pearl is with Jess Sims.
Coach, you've held the Tide to just 2 3-pointers. They're shooting 13%. What do you like about your coverage?
Defense has been really good. You know, they're better from 3 than they are from 2. We just got to try to make tough twos going downhill without fouling. The biggest thing we said from the beginning of the game, the team that defends and rebounds is going to win the game.
Janai Broome had 8 quick points really early to start, then only got 2 points since. How do you get him more involved?
Well, a better coach would have got him more involved, but he's not playing for a better coach. He's playing for me. I got to get the ball to him.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Always willing to poke fun at himself. Broome with a dozen. Johnson with a dozen. Auburn leads by 9 at halftime here in this 1 versus 2 matchup in the SEC. 42-33 Tigers. When we come back, the Jeep halftime report with Reese and the guys. Does Auburn deserve a lot of the credit for that?
Yes, they do. Auburn did a great job defensively. They really stayed with Mark Sears and ran him off the three-point line, made everything difficult. Aiden Holloway, same thing. Auburn made Alabama shoot 2 of 15 from 3 in that first half. So I think they've got to do a much better job. And what a great adjustment by Bruce Pearl to put Chaney Johnson in the game. That stretched out the Alabama defense. He had 12 points.
And he will start the second half. Jess Sims had a chance to speak with Nate Oates.
Yeah, Dan, I caught up with Coach Oates, and he said, listen, Jess, we got to pick our energy up. Some things didn't go our way in the first half. They were shooting well from the line. We can't make a 3. I am happy with our turnovers, but we need to pick up our energy because with our offense, 9 points is nothing. So we got to turn this thing around.
They need more from Sears and a Holloway. They combined to go 3 for 12, 1 for 7 from 3, 8 points. These are 2 guys, especially Sears, the guy with the ball right now, who's going to be huge forces at the offensive end.
They're using him as a screener there. Screen for the screener action freed him up, but a great job by Miles Kelly to recover.
Sears can't get all the way to the rim. He kicked it out. Stevenson missed the 3 as we are underway here in the second half of our Sonic blockbuster matchup.
One of the ways you can free up Mark Sears, use him as a screener. That's what they did, but Kelly took it away from him.
Denver Jones knocks down a 3. So Auburn has 7 made 3s, Alabama just 2, and it's a 12-point game.
Janai Broome able to play off Cliff Amore basically in drop coverage.
Stevenson, a nice reverse first bucket of the second half for the Tide. Johnson again starting the second half. They lay off Moore. They don't fear him taking a 3-point shot. He's going to take it. And it rattles in and out. Again, Moore is in there to be the glue guy. The blue collar plays, a great communicator, but not leaned upon to score. A block there by Jones.
Just a great recovery by Denver Jones. Such an outstanding defender. Auburn just does not give up on a play, even when they seem like they're out of it.
And Sears is out of bounds and turns it over. No matter where he turns, he's either running into a big guard or a bigger front court player.
And you can see the frustration on the face of Mark Sears. Nothing is going his way, and he's had Denver Jones in his face this whole game.
The crowd trying to do what it can to help the Tide. That won't help, though. Denver Jones, his second three already here in the second half.
Just a simple ball screen from Janai Broom, and Denver Jones able to come off it with rhythm without anyone stepping up. Nobody at the line of the screen.
Sears leaning into Jones, and that will be called a shooting foul. So a couple of free throws coming. The foul on Jones, but let's look back at the threes.
Well, Denver Jones, just off this handoff, you go underneath, he pulls up, knocks down the first three, and then off this ball screen, Cliff Amori in drop coverage, playing so far up. If you're not going to be up at the level of the screen, Denver Jones is just going to come off there firing. Because you know that with the size that Janai Broom has, he's going to be able to pick off Mark Sears. That's just way too easy, and I think Alabama needs to adjust.
Jones, not your prototypical point guard, played off the ball much more last year, but Bruce Pearl doesn't really have that prototypical point guard this year. It could be Jones, or then Pettiford comes off the bench. But they are making it work, to say the least. They are the #1 team in the nation as Sears misses. And in addition to all the other issues they're having, Alabama is 9 for 14 from the free throw line.
It especially hurts when your best free throw shooters are missing.
He does get 3 here. It was a 3-point attempt on which he was fouled. And he makes 2 out of 3. Holloway in, and Sears is going to come out less than 2 minutes into the second half. Aiden Holloway, a guy who can score in bunches as well, but right now he is trying to defend Denver Jones. Moore open again. They're going to lay off him, and he's missed 2 in a row. Holloway. Little pocket pass into Amori. Johnson almost took it away from him. Stevenson, a quiet game. And fouled by Moore.
Did you see Chris Moore? His left shoe was sideways while he was trying to play defense, and still did a pretty good job staying in front. That's you don't see that very often. Watch, his shoe comes off. It's sideways now.
and he never even blinks or looks down or anything, just keeps playing defense. And now, maybe because Alabama's laying off him and they're daring him to shoot, and he's missed a couple, he will sit, and Chad Baker-Mazzara returns.
Yeah, Alabama is putting any non-shooter, they're staying right in the middle of the lane, and that can really clog things up when you're trying to run offense.
Stevenson to inbound. Holloway driving by Baker-Mazzara, gets the floater to go. Holloway now with 5.
Off that action, Baker-Mazzara switched off to Aiden Holloway, but it is awfully difficult to stay in front of him with his quickness. He can go side to side, cross over, and get by you.
Again, the transfer from Auburn, so you know he wants to have a big game today. Broom, the fadeaway. Boy, if he can't get back to that right shoulder, he's got other ways to hurt you.
Well, he does that little fadeaway, but it's the impressive thing is how on balance he always stays.
Holloway no, and Broom with his 10th rebound of the game. So with better than 16 minutes to go, Broom already has a double-double. Jones searching for his shot and having himself a day as he banks in a 3.
If you're not going to come up on that screen, he's going to keep shooting it. He's hit 3 buckets off that action.
Amori, nifty little lay-in. Now he's got to get back into the play. Auburn's got numbers if they hurry, but they don't take advantage.
Now that puts Grant Nelson having to pick up Janai Broom. There's the flex action.
Broom finds Kelly, and Kelly gets the roll.
Boy, awfully easy. You had both the flex action and then the crackback by Chaney Johnson. Both were open.
In addition to everything else, Janai Broom has more assists than anybody else in this game. That was his 5th.
Well, he's their leading assist guy anyway. Yep. Such a good passer.
Nelson got it back. Got blocked by Baker Mazzara. Out of bounds. Alabama ball. And a timeout on the floor as Auburn has extended the lead. Some words between Baker Mazzara and some fans and some Auburn teammates getting him out of there. And wisely so. How about Janai Broom just getting it done again here for the Tigers?
Trying to keep him away from that right shoulder, but he just keeps his poise, fades away with that left hand. And then off this ball screen action, Cliff Amore not up to the level of the screen, and Denver Jones going to pull the trigger off the window. What can you do?
Exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Sonic, an official sponsor of the SEC. Live free, eat Sonic. The Auburn Tigers, the #1 team in the nation and the #1 strength of schedule in the nation, including today. They now have played 8 of the other 9 in the top 10 other than themselves. They will play Alabama one more time. They will play Texas A&M. Haven't played them yet, but they tested themselves in the non-conference. They went to Maui, won that tournament. They played Houston in Houston. They went to Duke. I mean, Bruce Pearl put together an unbelievable schedule, and to say the least, Auburn has met the challenge.
It's been a quad 1 season for Auburn and Alabama. I mean, look at Alabama's remaining schedule. Every team on Alabama's remaining schedule is a ranked team.
Yep.
It's ridiculous, the strength of their schedule.
They've still got road games at Missouri, at Tennessee, and then, as we mentioned, they'll go to Neville Arena in Auburn to end the regular season 3 weeks from today. Mo Diabate, shot clock down to 2. Great job. Got Broom underneath the bucket. Broom looking to the official and saying he was the victim of a forearm shiver.
Well, there were contact on both ends of that play, but Diabate just a little bit stronger in finishing that play.
Plays bigger than he is, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
Sears running into the screen by Johnson. Step back Jones, who is definitely feeling it here in the second half. A miss there. Phylon attacking Jones and knocked out of bounds by Baker Mazzara.
A great challenge to stay in front vertically, and Baker Mazzara with the chase down to block that. Denver Jones stays in front, goes straight up, and then with the hesitation, that allowed Baker Mazzara with the left hand to wipe that away. Boy, off the bench, the job that Chaney Johnson and Chad Baker Mazzara have done, really impressive.
Jahad Pettiford in off the bench as well. He is usually a big-time force for Auburn. Has had a quiet day, but they've had enough other guys doing the job at the offensive end. Pettiford, as you can see, with 2 averages 11.5.
And Alabama with their out of bounds underneath with the big on the ball, Dylan Cardwell and Aiden Holloway inbounding. And it's tough just to get the ball in bounds. They're not thinking about scoring. They're just thinking about getting it in.
And with some difficulty, they get it into Diabate. He is annoyed right now when a foul called on Baker Mazzara. That'll be his 3rd.
And really, when not just Auburn, but any team, when they're putting their hands on you, you have to really go into their arms. And that was a smart play to draw that foul by Diabate.
3rd team foul committed by Auburn this half. Alabama has yet to be called for a foul. And again, trouble to get it in. Holloway finds Nelson.
Auburn does such a good job of switching those actions and keeping in front.
Diabate, a little seam. Lays it up, but it won't go.
Just the double clutch made it difficult to finish it.
Baker Mazzara may have gotten away with steps there. Shot clock at 10. And Baker Mazzara is fouled. It's going to be Aiden Holloway called. Number 3 on him.
Holloway just trying to blow up that ball screen to get in front and get over the top.
And a sub for Bruce Pearl. Denver Jones has returned. Baker Mazzara, as you can see, just picked up his 3rd, and he goes back to the bench. Both teams deep. Good pressure by Philon on Kelly. Now Jones gets the shot off, knocks it down. Denver Jones has become the go-to guy at the offensive end for the Tigers.
He is having himself a half, and that was good defense by Diabate.
And Diabate will lay it in.
But he got hit on the head, and it wasn't called. You better be strong taking the ball to the basket in this game. If you look at the official, you're not going to get anything.
Pettiford using the screen from Cardwell, knocks it down. A long 2 for Tahad Pettiford.
These ball screens in the middle of the floor are killing Alabama. They're not up to the level of the screen. That's just allowing Auburn to come off the screen firing.
Diabate will try a 3. And nobody on the glass for the tie.
Good block out by Dylan Cardwell to keep Grant Nelson off the glass.
Auburn has added to its lead here in the first 6:40 of the second half. Cardwell back to Pettiford. Here comes Kelly. Oh, he was open. Lost it off the face of Nelson. It bounces to Johnson. And a lot of banging underneath, and a foul called on Grant Nelson. Not for the body contact, for the reach-in. Not a popular call here in Tuscaloosa. Nate Oates didn't like it. Looked like a lot of ball there, but Cardwell will go to the line. Dylan Cardwell does a lot of things to help this Auburn team win, but the area where he struggles more than any other is at the line. 35% on the season.
Yeah, one of the best defenders in the country. Can switch off on a guard. An excellent shot blocker, Dylan Cardwell, and also a very good passer.
This is his 153rd game for the Tigers. 5 years in the program. Missed them both. Sears is fouled by Cardwell, and that is number 4 on Dylan Cardwell.
Boy, a ton of contact just on the cut, which really knocked Mark Sears off of his path, but he stayed strong and still was able to get to the basket and draw even more contact getting to the rim. Coming off that screen, that's a ton of contact. That was very similar to the foul that Aiden Holloway got on the other end. But he winds up getting the call at the end of the play.
And if nothing else, maybe Sears can get himself going at the free throw line. Broom back in for Cardwell. Sears has 2 field goals, both 2-pointers, and 4 free throws for his 8 points as Kelly replaces Moore.
And Alabama isn't going to just score their way back into this game. They're going to have to get some defensive stops. And it may entail having to adjust how they're guarding ball screens with their big guys. Because if I'm Bruce Pearl, I'm going back to that action.
A foul on Diabate. His first, team's 3rd. All the Auburn players you can see looking over to the bench to get the call from Bruce Pearl. Opposing coaches will tell you that preparing to coach against a Bruce Pearl team is maybe the most challenging thing they have to do because of how many different options, how many different plays Bruce Pearl has in his system. Broom wide open.
That's clearly a shot they don't mind him taking. Good pass.
And the reverse slam for Amori. And that's got the crowd fired up. Let's see what it does for the tie. A touch for Broom. One-on-one with Amori. And another foul with another foul, I think, on Diabate as he came over to help. No, on Amori. Second on Amori, doing everything he can to try to defend Broom.
Just a ball screen, a slip to the basket. And when you throw out of it, that's the better angle to throw that lob pass. Just beautifully executed by Alabama, switching sides of the floor in order to get that.
You know, Jay, as you well know, Broom coming back from the ankle injury, not yet quite 100%, and not a guy who, you know, spends a lot of time over the rim anyways. He's an under the rim kind of player, but probably the best in America at that. And maybe he's lost a little bit of lift, but he is still putting up huge numbers, even though he is not 100%. He's already got 15 and 10 with 5 assists in this one.
Just a big time player, does everything for Auburn.
Phylon. And a foul will send Amori to the line when we come back with 11:55 to go. Auburn in the lead by 11 here in Tuscaloosa.
Is the leading scorer in this game with 15 points. He's got 10 rebounds, but he also makes the game easier for his teammates. You go underneath on a handoff, Denver Jones knocks down a 3. He's got 14 in this game. And then on a side pick and roll, drop coverage, Cliff Amori playing way off. Broom picks off Mark Sears, and that makes an easy shot to waltz into for Denver Jones, who knocks down another 3. Denver Jones 3 of 4 from 3 in this game, 5 of 8 overall from the field for those 14 points. He's been a huge factor in Auburn with this 11-point lead, and Alabama continues to struggle to shoot the ball from deep. 2 of 19 overall for the Crimson Tide.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
It is hard to believe.
I mean, they average 90 points per game, number 1 in the nation. They make better than 10 threes per game. Not a great three-point shooting team, 34.4%, but they take a ton. They get to the line a lot. They're not making their free throws in this one. Offensive rebounding giving them a chance to stay in the game, but they got to convert. Sears defended by Jones yet again.
Jones has made it so hard for him just to catch the ball.
Tough shot.
It looked like he got hit as he was going up.
Kelly in transition. Wide open for a 3.
Boy, it's amazing, Dan. You take a bad shot, and on the other end, you get punished for it. A bad shot is the first pass in your opponent's fast break. And just when Alabama seems like they're getting even the slightest bit of momentum, Auburn shuts the door on them. Mark Sears has not been able to get anything going. Denver Jones, I mean, that's a foul there, but got away with it. But what that did was give an outlet opportunity, and a good job by Hudson really to take Diabate out of the play. And then Miles Kelly, who's an outstanding shooter. He was the top guy on the scouting report at Georgia Tech last year. Now he can kind of hide a little bit, but he's Auburn's best shooter from the perimeter.
LeBaron Phylon at the line for the Tide. Mr. Basketball here in the state of Alabama last year, coming off a 15-point game against Texas on Tuesday night. Again, just huge differences between the Tide's offensive numbers on the season and what they have been able to do so far here today.
Yeah, Auburn has really turned Alabama into individual playmakers. They're not able to run any clean offense on their end, and Auburn's kept them out of transition. That's really been a key.
Jaheim Hudson into the game for the Tigers. Pettiford got caught in the air and threw it away. Sears, Phylon, and a good recovery by Hudson. And which way is it going to go? The two officials.
It's staying with Alabama. Tough place from which to inbound the ball for Alabama here. And you would expect that you're going to have a big guy on the ball. It depends on who's inbounding it.
Hudson sits. Johnson returns. Phylon inbounds to Diabate. Picked up his dribble. Finds Phylon. Off balance. It'll go. And they've got it down to single digits. And they've got the crowd back into it as well. But Auburn has had the response time after time.
And here's the run stopper, Janai Broom.
The fadeaway, short. Phylon being chased down by Kelly. That's going to go.
What a play by LeBaron Phylon. He had Miles Kelly trailing him and just hit the brakes. Tough shot. Now Phylon, he sees that Kelly's behind him, just put the brakes on, then accelerated again before the lob to Amori. That's a friendly rim.
That ball hung on the rim for an eternity.
Looked like it crawled over it.
Number 3 on Janai Broom with 10:05 to go. And Cliff Amori from Nigeria, 4 years at Rutgers, makes the free throw. And all of a sudden, it is down to 6. Pettiford gets open. Short. And it belongs to the tie.
Give credit to Mark Sears. Got picked off of 2 screens, did not quit on the play, and put great pressure on that shot by Tahad Pettiford.
Past the midway point of the second half, and Alabama is as close as they've been in a long while.
Little horn set right now for Alabama. 2 up top, 2 in the corners wide.
Sears. Yes! And Bruce Pearl wants a timeout. It is a 10-0 run for Alabama over the last minute and 46. And it's their leading scorer, Mark Sears, who's had to work so hard for every look he's gotten today, who knocks down the 3 to make it a 1-possession game. Welcome back. Let's take a look at our All-State Tournament predictor. According to CBB Analytics, here are the percentages. The chance at a 1 seed. Auburn almost 50%. Alabama, Tennessee, Florida a very good shot as well. A&M and Kentucky also on the list. How about a league where there is some possibility of 6 different teams having at least potentially a shot at a 1 seed. Tennessee won earlier today, beat Vandy. A&M won earlier today, beat Arkansas. Kentucky is at Texas, 8 o'clock Eastern tonight on ESPN. Florida hosts South Carolina. 8:30 Eastern on SEC Network. Nate Oates on the headset. I couldn't hear it. I think you did. A can was thrown on the court during the timeout. A warning was given by the PA announcer. I assume Nate was just backing that up.
Yes.
And back to the action. Baker Mazzara whips a pass inside, but a block by Diabate.
Unbelievable recovery by Diabate. Back screen for the inbounder, wide open, and he ended it.
Phylon switches hands, and the rebound down to Johnson.
You're going to see Alabama continue to drive it because they have put Auburn in the 1-and-1.
And Phylon has shown a nice ability to get into the paint and make things happen, but couldn't finish that one.
Well, he's such a quick burst athlete.
Baker Mazzara bumped and fouled by Amori, and a couple of free throws coming.
That was made by the hesitation move, the change of pace by Chad Baker Mazzara. Just came to a stop and then a quick start again to get into his body and draw that foul.
3 on Amori.
And you referenced it before, but what a luxury to have so many guards that are great free throw shooters. And Chad Baker Mazzara 90% from the line.
Coming up next here on ESPN, Syracuse hosts North Carolina, and then at 8 Eastern, as we mentioned, back into the SEC, the undermanned Kentucky Wildcats, but off that big win over Tennessee Tuesday, they are in Austin to take on Trey Johnson and the Longhorns. As far as we know, No Butler, no Robinson for Kentucky, and still without Kirk Risa. But boy, how about the job that Trent Noah and Travis Perry did for Kentucky on Tuesday night?
They knocked down some timely threes. Those were big-time plays by those two Kentucky high school scorers.
The lead back to 5 for Auburn. Sears is open and hits again. His second three.
Grant Nelson trying to get out and set a ball screen. He was getting grabbed and couldn't get there. But Philon just made a play and found Sears.
They have never led in this game and have trailed by as many as 14. Broom. And he looks shaken up. Maybe it's the ankle again, grimacing and not moving well, getting back on D. But he comes up with a block. The ball is loose, and Nelson slams it and ties it. And Janai Broom has pointed to the bench. He is in some difficulty. It is mayhem here in Tuscaloosa. Baker Mazzara, no. Sears again. And the rebound to Kelly.
Boy, Kelly is such a good guard rebounder.
A transition three for Tahad Pettiford. Big time shot.
Does he have any fear at all? Things weren't going well for Auburn. He just pulls up in transition and knocks down a fearless three.
That's a freshman on the road in this kind of environment. But he's had some of his biggest games in some of their biggest ones. Youngblood with a three. And we're tied again. And it is game on here in Alabama. Number 1 and number 2.
Game on, and the lid is off for Alabama. After all these misses, they're starting to knock down threes. Wow.
Baker Mazzara with a three.
Well, you're starting to think, what is he doing? And then knocks it down right on Chris Youngblood. What a hesitation move by Philon. My goodness.
Look at the pure speed LeBaron Philon has. Youngblood swatted away into the seats by Chaney Johnson. And a timeout on the floor with 6:31 to go. But Jay, Alabama is back in this game.
Alabama has done a great job on the glass, but Mark Sears freed up off that broken play, knocking down a deep three. And then after knocking the ball away from Janai Broom, he said they raked across his arm and fouled him. Grant Nelson with the dunk, and then Youngblood does not need time. The former American Athletic Association Player of the Year.
Tomorrow morning, Women's College Game Day presented by State Farm kicks off at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN Live from Columbia, because that's where number 2 South Carolina will host number 7 UConn in a sonic blockbuster, and then right after that on ABC, number 5 LSU and number 3 Texas. Here in Tuscaloosa, brand new ball game, 3-point game. Alabama actually tied it. This may be the biggest story right now. Janai Broom appears to have aggravated the left ankle injury. He is on the bench right now.
Well, first of all, he got fouled here. Grant Nelson not in legal guarding position. That's significant contact on a shooter. That's a foul and should have been called. But Janai Broom, if he's out for a significant period of time, that changes this complex of this game.
And Jay, his shoe is off. He is sitting on the bench, not getting any treatment or anything right now, but not wearing his left shoe. And it's down to Denver Jones.
Outstanding challenge on that shot by Grant Nelson by Dylan Cardwell.
Then Auburn win it on the road without their best player. 6 minutes to go. Baker Mazzara soft off the glass. He has made some big plays here today.
So showed some strength coming off that screen, getting grabbed, still came through it, and scored right over Aiden Holloway.
That's now 15 for Baker Mazzara. At the other end, Johnson the defense, Diabate the miss. Numbers for Auburn. Johnson, tough catch, and the finish. And all of a sudden, Auburn is back up 7.
Chaney Johnson has been truly outstanding in this game on both ends of the floor. His defense, and he's been a difference maker on the offensive end as well.
Sears has gotten hot here in the second half. Will lean into Baker Mazzara to draw the foul, and that'll be number 4 on Baker Mazzara.
Chad Baker Mazzara coming off that screen. Then he's got Aiden Holloway on him. He's got a size advantage. Just drives left, goes off the glass right over him. And then a beautiful pass by Miles Kelly and a great catch by Chaney Johnson to finish that ball right underneath the basket.
And Sears will miss the first free throw. Baker Mazzara sits. Again, he's got 4, so he's on the bench. Broome is on the bench without his left shoe on. But again, both of these teams so talented, so deep. They've still got a lot of difference makers, and Baker Mazzara is wincing in pain on the bench. Broome splits a pair, 6-point game.
Probably going to see Auburn go to a little 5-out action here. And that's going to open up some cutting lanes. Now they're going into the flex. There's the flex cut and then the down screen.
Pettiford at the point, 5 minutes to go. Ball screen Cardwell. Pettiford drives, and another beautifully placed shot off the glass, this time by Tahad Pettiford.
Came off that ball screen, able to turn the corner, driving to his right. And Tahad Pettiford is a lefty. But Dylan Cardwell, you see Omori playing way off, but uses that right hand, drew the contact after the ball was released, and got it high off the glass and in. Where they're talking about 44,
yeah,
Dylan Cardwell.
So the basket is good. And a free throw is coming, but it appears they're going to the monitor to check whatever it is that Cardwell may have done. And it is number 5 on Cardwell. And now Broome is back up and his shoes back on. Pat Adams.
The call on the floor is the call on the floor is white 44 pushing the back. What we were looking at to see if the ball was out of his hands, which it was well out of his hands. Number 2 red will shoot. The basket counts. Number 2 red will shoot a 1-and-1. Win a bonus?
You should know if you're in the bonus. You've been in the bonus.
Well, it's just one free throw, right? He made the basket.
But it's not.
Oh, but
it's
the
not
foul
called.
separate.
The foul's
Right, I
on,
see. You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
I thought the foul was on Omori, but the foul was on that push.
Yeah.
By Dylan Cardwell. So Aiden Holloway is going to shoot free throws.
So Cardwell is out. Broome is checking back in. And it's Aiden Holloway with a 1-and-1.
Aiden Holloway, an 85% free throw shooter.
And knocks down the front end. Made them both. And let's keep an eye on Janai Broome's mobility. Sets the screen for Pettiford. Flies into the paint and scores again.
Boy, if you're not going to have anybody up at the line of the screen, at the level of the ball, on that ball screen from Broome, that just allows the ball handler Pettiford to turn the corner. He's turning the corner, and then you get the back screen that Omori's trying to negotiate, but nobody can stop Tahad Pettiford. If you pick off Aiden Holloway, Pettiford's going to get all the way to the lane.
4 on Holloway. And in and out for Pettiford. So it is still an 8-point game. Nelson driving, and that's a goaltending call. Count the basket.
Right now, Alabama is getting everything in the paint. They're continuing to drive the ball, which I think is a smart idea. Drive the ball, get the bucket, chance for a foul. And even on the drive, you have a chance to pick up the foul. They're in the double bonus.
Pettiford driving again with the right hand. Tipped around, and Broom's got it.
How did he come away with that ball? He was surrounded by red shirts. And even on one leg, Janai Broom able to come away with that rebound. Good hesitation move by Pettiford. But he just keeps going and going. Multiple efforts to get that ball on the offensive rebound opportunity.
And 7th foul this half on the Tide, so 1-1 for Broom. Nelson the rebound. Sears has heated up here in the last few minutes. He's up to 16.
Got the switch.
Gets it back. Broom on him now. Let's see if he tries to take him. Wants a ball screen. Shoots over him. Jaron Stevenson couldn't put it home on the putback. A great offensive rebound, but could not knock it down. 3:53 to go. Auburn by 6.
Still have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis.
Janai! Walk him down and put him between you and the basket. Hey, what happened to our effort on defense? What happened to our effort? You know what I mean? Defense!
30th year as a head coach, and still with every bit as much energy as he had back on day one. This is #1 Auburn and #2 Alabama. Auburn leads by 6. Janai Broom putting up big numbers again. Denver Jones made some big shots in this game. Mark Sears has gotten hot. Auburn has led by as many as 14. Alabama tied it for one possession a few minutes ago here in the second half. But Auburn is back up by a half dozen with Miles Kelly at the line.
And give credit to the bench of Auburn with the production Bruce Pearl has off the pine. Chaney Johnson 14, Tahad Pettiford 11, and then Chad Baker-Mazara coming off the bench with 15. But Dan, think about this for a second. If you said before the game, and Nate Oates I'm sure said to his team, if we have single-digit turnovers and hold Auburn to single-digit offensive rebounds, we win the game. But they've shot it, and that's what they've done.
Yep.
But they've shot it so poorly from three, they find themselves down 8.
They made 3 in just a couple of minutes earlier in the second half. But as you said, and maybe this is Auburn forcing them off the line, but they've gone back to driving the ball on almost every trip. And it's an empty trip here.
Drew contact, but not enough to get a foul. Yeah, they have to drive the ball, I think.
That's a foul. Kelly went flying, and it'll be Phylon.
Little wide pin down. Miles Kelly coming off of Moore. And there's been contact like that on just about everything, but he went down, so the foul's called. And it is really difficult as a cutter to be able to cut cleanly in these games.
Miles Kelly, another one of these great free throw shooters for the Auburn Tigers. As you can see, high 80s. All 4 perimeter players for Auburn, high 80s or 90% on the season. So if you've got a lead and you've got the right guys with the ball in their hands, you got to feel pretty comfortable if you're Bruce Pearl.
Yeah, that is a comforting thing down the stretch.
Way to go, Jay.
That was you. That was you.
9-point lead.
Boy, Auburn has done such a good job of switching up to take things away when they have to switch.
Phylon bumped.
Jones went underneath that screen and tried to meet Philon on the other side and just cracked him.
And Bruce Pearl is yelling, that's nothing. That's not a foul.
Well, maybe not in this game, but the rule book says it is. But there's been so much that hasn't been called that's been similar at this point, I'm sure. But Alabama's shot a ton of free throws in this game. And down the stretch, they have to be thinking the same thing. Put pressure on the rim.
Philon 74% on the season. Baker Mazzara back into the game with 4 fouls. Made them both. Philon out, Stevenson in for Alabama. Both coaches substituting liberally depending on whether their team is on offense or defense. Boy, look at the pressure by Sears. Jones will bring it over.
A good balance by Chaney Johnson. Looked like he was going to fall backwards for a second there.
Open as Broom. Got it to go. What a great pass from Chaney Johnson.
And a nice flash into the middle of the lane.
Great cut. Stevenson lays it in. Sears the assist.
Yeah, anytime there's a drive, you're going to see a cutter from that 45-degree angle. And Mark Sears found him that time. Stevenson made sure to make that bucket. Missed an easy one a bit earlier.
But they've got to get stops to have a chance. Down by 7. Jones leans in, was looking for the whistle. Nelson the rebound. And there's a whistle, but before that, Youngblood and Baker Mazzara were tangled up and out of bounds.
And Youngblood is asking for a replay.
Yep.
He's saying, look at that. That should be a flagrant, is his point.
And the officials will have a look at it.
Stevenson was fouled right after that. I don't know if the officials called that. It seemed like they did.
There is no call on the floor, but the previous play is under review.
So the play under the basket is under review.
Well, Stevenson was fouled. There should have been a call on the floor. Unless they had blown it dead already.
So 10 in white and 8 in red.
Just on the baseline. Oh, there's nothing there.
Youngblood was making a motion like he got hit in the mouth or something like that. Like
maybe he did take a swipe at him, but he was riding him out of bounds. Yeah. Maybe with the right hand, there was a swipe taken at him.
Yeah, got him in the cheek.
Yeah, that different angle. The first one didn't seem like there was anything. But as you saw that other angle, there was a right-handed swipe that looked like it either hit or grazed the chin of Youngblood.
So if they call that, it's going to be 2 and the ball, and Baker Mazzara will be out of the game. That'll be his 5th.
Yeah, it was kind of an open-handed thing.
Yeah.
What a weird play.
And Baker Mazzara, a very talented player, but at times a guy who they have to rein in the emotion a little bit. Remember,
yeah, they're going to call that.
Yeah,
they're going to call that a flagrant.
Remember, he got kicked out of the game against Yale in the NCAA tournament last year.
Yeah.
Just 3 minutes into the game, first rounder, when the Tigers went on to lose the game. This is a big call.
But what was interesting was afterwards, when Stevenson caught the ball, he got thrown to the ground and fouled. And they said there was no foul on the play. Really an odd sequence. But, you'd think, Dan, after all we hear and see in these just endless replays about the contact to the head. We've seen some that get called and some that don't. But wouldn't you see or feel like that is one that you'd think would be called a flagrant?
I would agree. Yeah. Pat Adams and Joe Lindsay now calling over the 3rd official, Vladimir Voyard-Tadal. And here's the announcement. Oh, I believe here's the announcement. Here comes Pat Adams.
It's going to be a flagrant foul on white number 10. Red number 8 will shoot 2 shots, and red will have the ball out of bounds.
Big call. Baker Mazzara, flagrant. 2 in the ball for Alabama, and Baker Mazzara is out of the game. That's his 5th.
Now, Youngblood was basically riding him out of bounds. Now they're tied up. And then the shot with the right hand to the face of Youngblood.
And right away, Youngblood makes that universal signal that they should go to the monitor. Baker Mazzara still pleading his case, but again, he walks a fine line sometimes in terms of controlling his emotions. And this foul has knocked him out of the game, and Alabama's got a chance to make this much, much closer right now.
Yeah, that's a huge play and a huge call. And Chris Youngblood shoots just under 80% from the foul line. And this is really an opportunity to cut into this lead and put some real game pressure on Auburn down the stretch.
So Auburn's without Baker Mazzara and Cardwell. They have both fouled out. But they still got 5 very talented guys on the floor. 1 of 2 for Youngblood. So a 6-point game, and it's Alabama ball. Holloway couldn't turn the corner. Now finds Sears. Again driving, has it knocked away. I think it was Broom.
It was.
Pettiford back. And he will bring it back out and work the clock under 2 minutes.
When Nate Oates thought he got fouled, but what a sequence. Only 1 point for Alabama in that situation.
Deflected, and then a late whistle, and the foul is called on Diabate, and now Nate Oates is livid.
Diabate got a hand on this ball. I don't know. That's a tough one. That seems incidental after the deflection. Yeah, it looked like Sears got at least grazed on the head there. Nope, he didn't. Maybe on the hair, but an excellent block by Janai Broom.
His 2nd of the night. Pettiford makes the 1st. Pettiford has had some very big plays here in the second half for Auburn.
Well, it feels like Auburn was very fortunate there, and they made a play now. But to come away in that sequence after the flagrant foul on Baker Mazzara with just 1 point.
Yep. And now you can see the long faces in the crowd. It is back to 8. Every time Alabama has made a charge, Auburn has withstood it and had an answer. Sears blocked again, this time Moore. And great hustle by Diabate. Who else to get down on the floor? But it's the alternating possession, and the arrow is in Auburn's favor.
So many great plays at the rim by Auburn. When they've been beaten off a drive, they recover to block a shot or change a shot at the rim. Just Chris Moore getting a piece of that ball. You saw Janai Broom block an opportunity by Mark Sears. The rim, you talk about rim protection. Auburn has been protecting the rim in this second half, and especially late.
They've got 6 blocks in this game. None more important than that one by Moore. 1.5 minutes to go, and Pettiford is not in a rush.
No, they want to take their time here. Burn clock, and then get into something with about 12 seconds to go on the clock.
Broom wants some space. Banging with Diabate. Broom wins, and it's a double-digit lead. And number 1 is just over a minute away from winning here on the road in Alabama.
Broom on one leg, just so strong.
Sears is fouled, but under a minute to go, and Janai Broom just bound and determined to get close to the rim and finish this one off.
You're worried about bringing double coverage because Broom is an excellent passer, especially out of double teams. But he's able to get to that right shoulder into the middle of the lane. He just bullied Mohamed Diabate, who's a strong customer himself, to get that big bucket and move it to 10 points.
19 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 blocks for Janai Broome.
And really it came down to Alabama's inability to knock down perimeter shots, because they did a good job protecting the ball. It didn't have double-digit turnovers. They did a good job not allowing second shots by Auburn, and yet they are trailing with under a minute to go.
Bedford gets it over to Kelly, and now they give the foul. Stevenson. And if Auburn can just make a decent percentage of free throws the rest of the way, this victory will be theirs.
And that was your point earlier. You got so many excellent free throw shooters in this Auburn backcourt. It is tough to make a comeback by fouling at the end of the game when you've got multiple 80, 85 plus, 90 plus free throw shooters.
Kelly, one of those. If Auburn goes on to win this game, Bruce Pearl will become the first coach ever to win 2 1-versus-2 games for 2 different teams.
One game he was number 2, and this one number 1.
Yeah. Number 2 Tennessee beat Memphis in 08. And number 1 Auburn is on the verge of beating number 2 Alabama here today.
Yeah, but what's his record when he's number 3?
What a win this would be, and it would be a pretty enjoyable 2.5-hour drive, bus ride back to Auburn for Pearl and staff and all the players after the effort they have put forth today. Here are the other coaches with multiple wins in 1-versus-2 games, but again, all of those other coaches did it for just one program. Bruce Pearl on the verge of doing it for 2 different programs. And a reminder, and we don't know what the rankings will be, but whatever they are, a reminder, 3 weeks from today, Alabama and Auburn will close the regular season in the jungle.
I think that'll be a quiet afternoon.
Oh, yeah. Nelson fouls Broome, and Alabama is going to try to extend this as much as they can. How about the schedule that Nate Oates' team has the rest of the way? Every single opponent is a team that is currently ranked.
And when you get toward the end, it's in ascending order. You got 5-3-1 to finish your regular season.
I mean, you could make a case winning the SEC tournament maybe more of a gauntlet than winning the NCAA tournament this year, as crazy as maybe that sounds, because you might face, if you have to go 3-4 days, I mean, you might face like a Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four day after day in the SEC.
You have the chance of playing higher rated teams in that tournament as you do in the second weekend of the NCAA tournament, perhaps.
Thanks for saying what I was trying to say, but saying it much more clearly.
Yeah. Because I've made that point and got roasted for it, but I think it's true.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean it's not difficult to win the NCAA championship. It's
a number of teams that can go a long, long way in the NCAA tournament will be congregating in Nashville in 3 weeks. Janai Broome, despite aggravating the left ankle injury, and it's bugging him. You can see it's bugging him, but he has played through it and had another great game.
He's pretty good on one leg. Started out knocking down threes in this game. I don't know who had that on their bingo card, but he winds up, at least thus far, with 19 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists in this game. And then you see him down low, getting a screen, flashing into the middle, getting to that left hand, the little push shot in the lane after the screen by Miles Kelly. You know, Janai Broome is so difficult to deal with, and anytime you need a bucket, you can throw it down to him in the low post, and unless he gets a double team, which he can pass out of very effectively, he's going to back you down and score, get fouled, or both.
One of the big statistical differences in this game, and we've talked about it, the three-point shooting. Auburn 12 for 30, 40%. Alabama 5 for 25, 20%. They did hit 3 in rapid succession earlier in the second half, but have not been able to add to their total the last 7 or 8 minutes, it feels like.
Well, and as you mentioned, I mean, this is an Alabama team that averages 10 made threes a game and just hit 17 against Texas.
And again, the foul. So Alabama's going to force Auburn to make free throws.
And that's all that Alabama could really do. Keep it from going to Pettiford and make a Janai Broome catch it, not the free throw shooter that Pettiford is.
Broome 64% on the season. And struggling from the line in this one today.
If Broome misses this, I think that Alabama's got to attack the rim again. Get it down as quickly as you can and get the quickest score that you can.
3 for 9 from the line.
You got to go. Get to the rim.
Holloway does. That's a goaltend. Count the basket, and it's a 5-point game.
Right now, the trick for Alabama,
they're going to look at it.
Extend this game.
So the call on the floor is goaltend. The player's under review.
They've hit the backboard.
Yeah, definite goaltend.
Boy, I would really like to see college basketball.
32 seconds on the clock.
I would really like to see college basketball do what the NBA does. Get rid of all this ridiculous replay and give each team one challenge. You get a challenge. If you're right, then you keep it for another one. Then it's gone after the second one.
I'm with you 100%, because even though that took 5 seconds, it's really more like 30 seconds by the time they get back out here.
And it takes the air out of the building.
Yeah.
You know, and now with the rule on goaltending, they call everything goaltending so they can go look at it, and then they're not wrong. You know, you can be right, wrong, whatever, but this replay has taken over college basketball, and it does not work.
Now the foul on Jones, and Alabama fouling immediately. But if you're Bruce Pearl, you're much happier with Denver Jones going to the line here. 90% on the season.
Well, that was his point after the last inbound when they weren't able to get it to Tahad Pettiford. All of a sudden, Janai Broome has to, as the pressure release, has to flash in. You have a 64% free throw shooter instead of Denver Jones that shoots 90.
Chris Moore comes back in to play some defense for the Tigers. Pettiford sits for the moment.
Make or miss here for Auburn, and it's most likely to be a make. No threes, no fouls.
7-point game. Holloway, air ball. Johnson has it, immediately gives it to Kelly, and a foul is called. And it's going to be more free throws for the Tigers. And now just 21.6 seconds remain.
Well, and for Alabama in this game, seems pretty clear with 21.6 in regulation. Auburn's going to hang on and win this game. But Alabama made only 5 threes in this game. What are they, 5 of 26 now?
Yep.
5 of 26. They've still scored 85 points. These are two powerful offensive teams.
Yeah, by many measures, first and second in offense in the nation. Auburn has had 6 different players not only reach double figures, 6 players with 13 or more points in this game.
And you have to give a lot of credit to Auburn's bench.
No more fouls, and number 1 Auburn comes into Coleman Coliseum, and they walk out of here with a big win. The first ever SEC 1 versus 2 matchup goes to number 1 in a rarity, an in-state 1 versus 2 matchup, just the 6th ever. And Auburn withstood every push, Jay, that Alabama made and just made plays down the stretch.
You think first of the defense that Denver Jones played on Mark Sears. Everything, especially in the first half, was incredibly difficult for Sears. In the second half, Denver Jones came out firing off those ball screens that Alabama was playing in drop coverage. They were able to turn the corner, but give Auburn a tremendous amount of credit. They protected the rim in the second half, especially late, but they did a great job of defending the three-point line and holding Alabama to just 85 points.
Jess Sims is with Bruce Pearl.
Coach, your second 1v2 win on the road, 2 different programs. What's going through your mind right now?
You walk into our locker room, there's a sign that says, make history. These kids are never going to forget this 1 versus 2 matchup. We played great from start to finish. We acted like we were the number 1 team. We prepared like we were the number 1 team. And we are the number 1 team in the country.
You are, and despite the valiant efforts of Alabama coming back, making those runs, it's a game of runs. They tied up, but you never lost your composure. You never lost the lead. What does that say about the guys?
Well, I got to look at the stat sheet. It spread. The love was spread all around. Denver Jones was, kind of amazing. Janai obviously is a handful on the inside, but it was a great team effort to hold them down is like to 85. And to hold them down from, with all those free balls. My coaching staff did a great job with our preparation. Look, we're going to see those guys again and maybe again. So good for Alabama. Coach has done an amazing job with that club, and this was a great environment to play. The best environment I've been in Coleman since I've been even a coach at Tennessee.
Thanks so much, Coach. Go celebrate with your team.
War Eagle.
Bruce, you're right. Again, and maybe again, and you know what? Maybe even again after that. These are 2 of the best in the nation, but number 1 is victorious today. The Tigers come to Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama 94-85 in this 1 versus 2 matchup. For Jay Billis, Jess Sims, and our crew, I'm Dan Schulman. Thank you so much for watching. Syracuse, North Carolina coming up. So long from Tuscaloosa.